I love comparing people to Smarties. On the outside we are different, but on the inside we're this lovely, rich chocolate. Why do I say that? Well, I have been asking many people over the years what they want from life, and I discovered basically we all want the same. We want to be healthy, we want to be wealthy, we want fulfilling relationships, and we want to somehow make a difference. And when these four are in place, that is when we really feel happy and we feel fulfilled. And I have found 4 steps we can use to create that life that we want, where we are that happy, healthy, wealthy, and make that difference. But before I go into those 4 steps, I would like to invite you to please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to my channel. So these 4 steps are: 1. Be in touch with your emotions. 2. Make feeling good your top priority. 3 is dig out those limiting beliefs and shift them. And 4 is listen to the advice you have given to others. Step 1. Be in touch with our emotions. We can basically divide all the emotions, all the feelings that we can have into 2 categories. They either make us feel good or they make us feel bad. And we can use those feelings as a compass. If we do things and we feel good, that means we're going into the direction of the life we want. And if we feel bad, it means we're going the wrong way. Now, many people don't like to feel bad, so we'll do anything to avoid that. We can do that by distracting ourselves, by living in our head and only thinking and not connecting with our feelings. We might do things to numb our feelings, and that often leads to addictive behavior. And others will decide to just soldier on, just keep going on. And then as they soldier on, they'll find, I'm unhappy at work, my relationships might be falling apart, our health is taking strain. In other words, they are not getting the life they want by soldiering on. That is why I suggest, instead of soldiering on, let's go to step 2 and making feeling good our top priority. But before I go into what to do, let's first say what not to do when making feeling good our top priority. You see, I'm not talking about doing things that make us feel good right now, like drinking or drugs or other things we could regret later, maybe 9 months later because we didn't plan this thing. I'm talking about doing things that make us feel good in the moment without regrets later. I'm talking about doing things that are good for us and the people around us. I'm also not talking about making other people responsible for how we feel. Did you know that it's actually physiologically impossible for other people to take full responsibility for how we feel? Because when we have an experience, we run it past our inner filter. And that filter is created by our previous experiences, and no external person has any idea what our filters are, and they cannot determine what filter we are using. If we want to have a different filter, we need to make some changes on the inside. And that is what I mean with taking responsibility for feeling good. It starts with doing the inner work first. So, when we are upset, the first thing we need to do is calm ourselves down. And I like to do that with using these positive points, also known as emotional stress release points. And we can hold these points until we feel calm. Because when we are angry, when we push the anger down, it will just keep popping up and piling up, and then we explode later. But if we acknowledge, I'm angry right now, I'm freaking angry right now, and you just give yourself permission to feel the feeling, and you might say, it's okay that I'm angry. Now, the key is not to go into the story that made you angry. The key is just sticking with the feeling. It's okay. I forgive myself for feeling like this, if that is appropriate for you in that moment to say. You say whatever you need to say to calm yourself down and really connect with that feeling. And once we've calmed down, we can go to step 3. Step 3 is to unearth those limiting beliefs and shift them. Well, there are 2 types of triggers that we deal with. The one is those difficult people, and I use the mirror for that, but I'm not going to go into the mirror today. You can watch the video on Befriending the Mirror if you don't know what mirror I'm talking about. The link will be in the description. Now, the other thing that will trigger us is that when we have to do things we dislike, when we don't like what is happening, we're resisting it. How can we move through that resistance and still be happy? This is when it's time to unearth some of our limiting beliefs. And we can do that by asking 2 questions. At least those are the 2 questions I use. I'm sure there are other questions you can use as well. So I like to ask myself, what am I afraid of? And if I get what I want, what is the worst that could happen then? I know that sounds a bit counterintuitive, but let me illustrate that. For example, I have the belief I'm not enough. Now I will start imagine that I feel enough. What will happen? Oh, I will feel so good. Oops. I might become proud. I might become arrogant. And then I will chase people away, and then I will be all alone. Can you see now? Our subconscious mind was running ahead. It always likes to do that. It runs ahead to look for any danger that could be happening further down the line. And then it says, oh, I see danger there. Let's make sure you don't go there. Let's create enough resistance to keep you where you are right now, because here you are comfortable. There's another reason why your subconscious mind also doesn't want to let go of that limiting belief. Because if I have a limiting belief about not being enough, if I have that belief, I will start doing things to prove to myself that I am enough. I'll start to be kind and helpful, or I'll start working really hard and being successful. And our subconscious mind is afraid that if we let go of the belief, those virtues, those qualities will go out the window with it. And that it doesn't want to happen. And that's when we have to retrain the subconscious mind with realizing I will continue with being kind and helpful and what other virtues I picked up along the line. And once that has sunk into the subconscious, we can let go of the limiting belief and replace it with the belief, I am enough, or whatever else you have as a limiting belief. Now, this can be a little bit tricky, and so I have a gift for you at the end of this video that can assist you with this process. Another way of finding a way to move forward beyond our resistance is by step 4, listening to the advice we give to others. My experience has been, in my personal life and as a coach, that the advice we give to others is what we need most of the time within 48 hours ourselves. So I listen carefully to the advice I give to others, because that is the advice I can use myself to move forward towards creating the life that I want. Let me share what happened last week that inspired me to create this video. I was upset with a friend of mine, and I'd been saying to this friend, you know what? You're just not doing what it takes to create the life you want. And we were arguing backwards and forwards and getting nowhere. And then I realized, okay, let me just walk away. It's no use continuing talking about this. So that was step one. And then when I had the chance, I went to my office to do step two, making feeling good my top priority. I calmed myself down by saying, it's okay, I'm upset, and breathing and whatever else I could do, and forgive myself for feeling what I was feeling, and giving myself permission to be angry. So I wasn't going over the story, what had happened between the two of us. I just focused on me and my feelings. And I calmed down. Then it was time to look in the mirror, because it was a person that upset me. And I thought about it, and I thought, I'm telling this person you're not doing what it takes to create the life you want. Where am I doing the same? And then it hit me like, oops, I'm not doing what it takes to create the business I want. Whenever I have to do something, and especially the marketing, I will find all the excuses in the world not to have to do it. And they looked very reasonable. I'll have other things I need to do that are all of a sudden very urgent. And that is when I realized I need to do step three, unearth the limiting beliefs that I have that are causing my resistance. So I asked myself the two questions: what am I afraid of? And what is this bad thing that I see could be coming my way if I get what I want, when I get that successful business? And then I realized, if I have a successful business, I will have a lot of money, and having money is dangerous. For those of you that don't know my story, I've written it up in my origin story, where I talk about how I lost my first husband in an armed robbery. And I've written that in a blog, and I'll put the link in the description. So that made sense. And then I also had the limiting belief of, if I have a successful business, I'll be so absorbed in the business that I will lose my relationship with the divine. And that is very important to me. So my limiting belief was, I have to choose the one, business, or God. They don't go together. So I sat down prayerfully and I asked the divine, okay, well, how can I overcome this? And the thought that came to mind was, well, what if you ask me for divine inspiration? So that is when I realized I can use that divine connection to assist me in overcoming the resistance. And then I asked the divine, okay, well, how do I overcome that resistance? And that is when I realized step four: listen to the advice you've been dishing out to your friend. And I realized I'd been saying to this person, you know, make feeling good your top priority. And if you feel resistance towards something, don't think too far ahead. Stay in the moment. Just focus on the task at hand. And maybe say, let it be easy, let it be easy, so your mind doesn't start to think of all the bad things that can happen further down the line. And calm yourself down. And that's when I realized, oh, but I can do that too. So instead of forcing myself to eat a frog in the morning, as people say, do that unwanted task, I rather do the inner work, work with the divine. In that way, instead of getting out of my comfort zone and having to do that job, I now expand my comfort zone and I can enjoy that task that needs to be done. Or maybe I'll find a way to get somebody else to do it, but that is not always possible. I feel so much better. I don't feel upset with my friend anymore. I am so grateful for that argument because I have this amazing insight of let me focus on me creating the life that I want. Let me focus on me creating the business I want. So now, what about you? Where are you? Are you having the life that you want? Are you having the health, the wealth, the fulfilling relationships? And are you making that difference? Are you letting your emotions guide you, or are you one of those people that soldier on and force yourself? And now is the time to tell you about this free gift that I have for you. Because when we have a healthy self-esteem, it's much easier to move forward, to deal with some setbacks, and motivate ourselves to take another step. And this is where my gift comes in. I have created iThrive. It's a web app where we have a lot of affirmations in there. But affirmations alone are not enough because those limiting beliefs are still part of our filter unless we remove them. And so with the iThrives, what I've done in the recordings is that I teach the subconscious that we will hold those virtues that we've gained from the limiting beliefs and that we can now let go of the limiting belief and replace it with the belief that we want. And all you have to do is play these iThrives. You can play them softly while you sleep. You can play them out loud or softly during the day. All you have to do is put them on and let them play in the background. And you can go to these iThrives by scanning this QR code, or you can go to hannakok.com and the link will also be in the description. So my last parting question for you is, what is the last piece of advice that you have given to a friend that you could benefit from applying yourself? Please share that with me in the chat.